Hey, it's about 825. If you take a step back, you look at where we've been yesterday on the S&P and the fact that we're going through expiration today, definitely could be a hangover in markets, and we're seeing the kind of lack of volume move down with, as we say, there's a lot of air between here and 1050 on the S&P, and a lot of people just saying, hey, can we get to 1010 and get this over with? But then there's those people that say, let's go all the way back to 940. So again, these are technical levels on the S&P, but the reality is the macro data is really quite poor. You now have the Bundesbank and folks within the ECB making enough noise about when you call out stimulus, remove it, that you've created another sense of fear that ultimately that the economy in Europe is not going to be able to withstand that. It's the same thing we felt over here when we were hearing rumblings that the second stimulus that supposedly was going to come is now not going to come, and that was what we heard out of the Fed last week. But ultimately, it's really about just some headline numbers that have not been good at all on the payroll numbers, the jobless claims, and I think that's what we're echoing. But again, I think it's a decent time after looking at how emerging has outperformed over the last 2 to 3 weeks. We're getting some fund flow data coming through today, which is ultimately saying that the funds that have come into emerging markets have been close to 24 billion over the last 12 weeks, and if you annualize that number, that would far and away give you a record year in terms of fund flow. So technically, it's not a good signal, and as some have kind of indicated, this has this flow been almost lambs brought into slaughter. So be careful. But the news on the headline is France may be cutting their 2011 forecast from 2.5%. The Australian elections are things that we continue to watch to think it actually may ultimately be a very dovish outlook for the miners. The whole mining tax, which had kept them down, is something that we were, I think, ultimately is going to be a real rally. Korean National Oil Corp is making a bid for Dana Petroleum, which is a big UK explorer. This theme that emerging market resource demand is going to have them led straight into the developed world is alive and well, and I think you're going to continue to find that. Anglo Ashanti's indicated they're going to spend $1 billion to invest in Brazil through 2015. So I think the gold trade continues, and I think that, if anything, is the one that survives in here. Finally, Petrobras, their production numbers not great, and the announcement on the $25 billion share sell looks like it's going to be delayed, and this is as much about elections as it really coming up with the right valuation. Last night, Asia just traded actually quite well, but I don't know that gets you through other than the Shanghai. India's still up right near the highs on the Sensex. South Korea also well behaved. Watch your currency volatility. That's what has us concerned, and those are the big moves out there. Have a great weekend.